Be seated. As Jesus and his disciples went on their way, Jesus entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. He emerges from the metro at the L'Enfant Plaza station at 7:51 a.m. and positions himself against a wall beside a trash basket in the arcade at the top of the escalators. He is a white male, looking younger than his 39 years, wearing jeans, a long-sleeve T-shirt, and a Washington National baseball cap. He takes out his $3.5 million Stradivarius violin made in 1713, opens his case at his feet, shrewdly tosses in a few dollars as seed money, and starts to play. It's Friday, January the 12th, 2007, during the Washington, D.C. morning rush hour. And for the next 43 minutes, one of the world's leading violinists, Joshua Bell, performs 6 classical pieces as 1,097 people pass by L'Enfant Plaza at the nucleus of Federal Washington. Almost all are on their way to government jobs, mid-level bureaucratic positions, policy analyst, project manager, budget officer, consultant. Gene Weingartner of the Washington Post devises this experiment to see at an inconvenient time, will people stop to hear the voice of the world's most celebrated violinist. The acoustics are perfect. The arcade is a buffer between the metro escalator and the outdoors. The sound bounces round and round and resonates. If you were in Little Rock in March of that year, you paid several $100s to hear Bell play. Or you may have seen the movie The Red Violin, where Bell performs the violin solos in the Oscar-winning soundtrack. And he also won the Avery Fisher Prize as the best classical musician in America. And in 2001, won a Grammy Award for the best instrumental soloist. He's usually paid $1,000 a minute. Bell begins with Bach's Chaconne, one of the most difficult violin pieces celebrating the breadth of human possibility. 3 minutes goes by. 63 people pass without acknowledging Bell. Finally, a middle-aged man alters his gait for a split second, turns his head to notice, but then keeps walking. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. A half minute later, Bell gets his first donation. A woman throws $1 in the case, but keeps walking. It's not until 6 minutes into the performance that someone actually stops, stands against a wall, and listens. In the 43 minutes that Bell plays, 7 people stop at least for a minute. 27 give money, and most on the run. As people later review Bell's performance from a hidden camera, those rushing by Bell appear like ghosts. Only Bell seems real. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. John Mortensen is on the final leg of his daily bus to metro commute from Reston. He heads up the escalator. It's a long, slow, 1 minute, 15-second ride. So he gets a good earful of music before he first sees the musician. Mortensen is the first person to stop. He's the man at the 6-minute mark. He's a project manager of the Department of Energy. He knows nothing about classical music, but here's something he later says that makes him feel at peace. He looks at his watch, realizes he's 3 minutes early for his budget meeting. So he stays the allotted 3 minutes as 94 more people pass by briskly. He promptly leaves and gives money to a street musician for the first time in his life. She had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. There are 3 moments in the video that Belle feels painful to relive. The awkward times after the end of each piece. Nothing. The music stops. The same people who didn't notice him playing do not realize he has stopped. No applause, no acknowledgement. Martha, you're worried and distracted by many things. After Chaconne is Franz Schubert's Ave Maria, a musical prayer about among history's most familiar religious pieces. And after a few minutes, something happens. A mother and her 3-year-old preschooler, Evan, emerge from the escalator. You can see Evan clearly in the video. He keeps twisting around to look at Joshua Bell as his mother briskly propels him toward the door. His mother is an IT director for a federal agency. Later says she's in a time crunch. She has an 8:30 training class. First she has to rush Evan off to his teacher, then rush back to work, then to the training facility in the basement. She moves her body between Evan's and Belle's, cutting off her son's line of sight. Evan is still craning to look as he exits the arcade. In fact, every single child who walks by tries to stop and watch, and every single time a parent pulls the child away. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her. The best seats in the house are a few feet away from Belle in the arcade at the busy kiosk selling lottery tickets for the Daily Six. No one in the line, often 5 or 6 people long, during the entire 43 minutes ever looks up at Belle. Belle ends Ave Maria and 4 other pieces to another thunderous silence. Belle comments that he feels invisible, even though he's making a lot of noise. He notices people speaking louder on their cell phones as they pass by to overcome his noise. Then there's Calvin Myatt. He works for the General Service Administration. He gets to the top of the escalator, turns, and heads straight for the door. And when asked later about the musician 4 feet away from him at the metro, he has no recollection. And there's nothing wrong with his hearing. Mine is listening to his iPod. With iPods, we hear what we already know and programmed in our playlist. We're not open to something new coming into our ears. Mine is listening to Just Like Heaven by the British rock band The Cure. The song is about failing to see the beauty of what's plainly in front of our eyes. Martha, you're worried and distracted by many things. In preparing for the event, editors at the Post magazine discuss how to deal with the crowd control when people realize it's Joshua Bell, but only one latecomer recognizes Bell. Stacy Farakawa, who admits not knowing much about classical music, had been at Bell's free concert at the Library of Congress 3 weeks earlier. She positions herself 10 feet away from Bell, front row center. She has a massive grin on her face until he stops playing. She introduces herself to Bell and tosses in 20. Now, not counting that, the money is tainted by recognition. Bell makes $32.17 for 43 minutes of playing. Yes, some people gave pennies. Actually, Bell says with a laugh, that's not bad. About $40 an hour. And I can make an okay living on that and don't have to pay an agent. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her. The cultural hero of the day arrives late at L'Enfant Plaza in the figure of John Piccarello, a small man with a bald head. Piccarello hits the top of the escalator just as Bell begins his final piece, a reprise of the Chaconne. He stops dead in his tracks, stands across from the lottery line, and does not move for 9 minutes. Like all the passers-by interviewed about an unusual happening that morning on the way to work, Piccarello is the only one who immediately mentions the violinist. His response is, I've never heard anyone of that caliber. I did not go close, but walked away so I would not intrude in his space. Piccarello had studied violin, but gave it up when he realized he could never make a living from it. He's now a supervisor at the U.S. Postal Service. As he leaves, Piccarello says, I humbly threw in $5. He barely looks at Bell and tosses in the money. Embarrassed, he quickly walks away from the man he wanted to be. Asked later about having regret about not pursuing music, the postal supervisor says, no. If you love something but choose not to do it professionally, it's not a waste because you still have it. You have it forever. There's need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her. Amen.